Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lords of the Night. With me, as always, your Lord of Punishment. Say hi, Scribe.
Hi, Scribe.
And your Lord of Pennies is here as well. Say hello, Satsu.
What up, Dal?
I'm your Lord of Pain, the Ranting Monkey, and we're here to keep you uncontextualized for the next couple of hours. How is everybody today? Scribbles, how you doing?
Banana.
Fair enough.
No
And,
context. No. I got something to say. No, I was joking. I was doing the whole no context thing. That was the joke. Jeez, give me a second at least. Let the joke sit for a moment. I am fine. I had a productive day. I went grocery shopping and did a TED Excellence, if you want to call that productive. And I just got finished watching a very interesting free performance of Frankenstein starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller as the creature. They're doing a fundraiser on YouTube. You can watch full-length, 2-hour-long stage performance of Frankenstein. Two different versions, one where Benedict is the monster or one where Johnny Lee Miller is the monster. I watched the one where Johnny Lee Miller was the monster because I thought Benedict Cumberbatch made a better Frankenstein notion as the doctor. It's a little artsy in spots, and it's very condensed in its storytelling. It's all very set-pieced and everything, but I liked it. It was all right.
Cool. This is Kyler. Thank you. It says, hello, chat people in LotN. And Pink Hollow, thank you so much for the angel sticker there. I appreciate it, gentlemen. Satsu, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. Had about as standard a day as you can have. Nothing to report.
All right. We're not going to talk about me. It's not worth it at the moment.
I can hear it in your voice, so you don't have much to say.
I'm trying so hard.
I know.
Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies, video games. Hit that like button and share, please, the good work these two gentlemen put out. Because YouTube's a bunch of buttheads.
That too.
I don't have anything else other to report other than we do have a game stream tonight after this over on 2 Cents Plus. Come help us. Help us. Yeah, come help us because we need it. Professor Cass, thank you. 2020 Lotus in Middle East. Not nearly 2020 Global Plague. Not enough 2020 Murder Hornets coming in May. Indeed.
I just read about the murder hornets.
Yeah, I saw those.
We have a birthday, though.
Whose birthday?
Knight of Charlemagne. He who is responsible for my wonderful, wonderful avatar art. It is his birthday.
All right, Knight, if you're out there, this one's for you. And a 1 and a 2.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy
birthday,
Knight of
Charlemagne.
That one was from Satan.
Happy
birthday
to you. Happy birthday, Knight. I hope you had a good one. Metal Murderer, thank you. Lords of the Night, right after Crit Drinker Alien Reviews LS. Wonderful day. Praise the God, Emperor of Mankind. The Emperor protects.
Indeed.
Yes. I don't know what that means.
I believe it's either a reference to Trump or perhaps Warhammer 40K.
I'm on board either way.
Or both. Who knows? Well, in the news.
Hang on. Did I get your Streamlabs? Oh, Tall Person, thank you. Happy Baby Day, everybody. I didn't get the alert, but I did get that. Thank you so much. Who's baby?
Every baby. So happy Baby Day, Leah. She's still a baby. She counts.
Indeed.
Well, as far as the news is concerned, I didn't use sexual harassment in Biden complaint, Reed says. Tara Reid, the former Senate staffer who alleges Joe Biden sexually assaulted her 27 years ago, says she filed a limited report with a congressional personnel office that did not explicitly accuse him of sexual assault or harassment. Quote, I remember talking about him wanting me to serve drinks because he liked my legs and thought I was pretty and it made me uncomfortable, Reid said in an interview Friday with the Associated Press. I know that I was too scared to write about the sexual assault. Reid said she described her issues with Biden, but, quote, the main word I used, and I know I didn't use sexual harassment, I used uncomfortable, and I remember retaliation, unquote. Yep. Reid described the report after the AP discovered additional transcripts and notes from its interviews with Reid last year, in which she says she, quote, chickened out, unquote, after going to the Senate Personnel Office. The AP interviewed Reid in 2019 after she accused Biden of uncomfortable and inappropriate touching. She did not raise allegations of sexual assault against Biden until this year, around the time he became the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee. The existence of the Senate report has become a key element of the accusation against Biden, which he has flatly denied. Reid says she doesn't have a copy of the report, and Biden said Friday that he is not aware that any complaint against him exists. He asked the Senate and the National Archives to search their records to try to locate a complaint from Reid, except, if I remember correctly, that's not where the record would be, right?
That's the thinking right now. Real quick, Metal Murderer, thank you. Frank, get a P.O. box. I will email you, or I will mail you 40K novels. Mm-hmm. I appreciate the thought.
Yeah, but a monkey can't read.
Very, very poorly.
You got audiobooks, maybe? Get them an Audible subscription or something? I don't know. But Reid is suggesting that even if the report surfaces, it would not corroborate her assault allegations because she chose not to detail them at the time. According to a transcript of her 2019 interview with the AP, Reid said, quote, they have this counseling office or something, and I think I walked in there once, but then I chickened out, unquote. She made a similar statement in a second interview with AP that same day, according to written notes from the interview. On Friday, Reid said she was referring to having, quote, chickened out by not filing full harassment or assault allegations against Biden. In multiple interviews with the AP on Friday, Reid insisted she filed an, quote, intake form, unquote, at the Senate Personnel Office, which included her contact information, the office she worked for, and some broad details of her issues with Biden. In multiple interviews with the AP on Friday. How many times did you have to call her up? It's like, anyway, weird.
Real quick, thank you, Metal Murderer. Monk can read, but he can't beat stairs, RIP. And is pointing out that Low-Res Boy, it's Low-Res Boy's birthday. Thank you for getting my attention there with the happy. I love that one because I can see it. Let's do this birthday real fast and we'll get into this stupid shit. Low-Res Boy. It's your birthday, and around here we do this, and a 1, and a 2. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Scribe is creepy.
Happy birthday, dear Low-Res Boy.
That's a little more creepy.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Low-Res Boy. I hope you had a good one. Over on the Streamlabs, thank you, tall person who says, devil's advocate, I forget how you're supposed to say that in Latin, thinks you need to do something to get a day. So just for that guy, happy National Auctioneers Day, everybody. There you go.
Uh-oh.
And Professor Chaos, it's textbook sexual harassment regardless. Yes, but there's a reason that they're bringing this up specifically.
Go ahead, Monkey.
I talked about this for quite a while yesterday. Go check me, you guys. I said this at the time because when Mika gets up there to interview Joe Biden, the only thing she asks him about is the fingering, the digitizing. And that's is there a report on this? Tara Reid, however you want to say her name, never suggested that she did that. Actually, in all of the things, if you go back and look and read what she said, she says she filed an informal complaint regarding the touching on her shoulder, the rubbing on her neck, and the leg thing. The leg thing, for those of you who don't know, Joe Biden supposedly said he wanted her to serve drinks at some function because he liked her legs. That made her uncomfortable, so she went and talked to these people. That's all she's ever suggested. This whole thing, I mean, if I were the Democrats and trying to confuse people, I would be playing that up too. Nobody ever filed a sexual assault complaint against him because nobody ever said they did. But nobody's going to pay attention to that. They're going to be. I actually the way I found this article was Jennifer Rubin. You know who this dumb twat is?
I know the name. Yes.
She's the conservative, opinionated writer for the Washington Post.
Mm-hmm.
She tweeted out this article with, "She becomes more untrustworthy by the day." I'm like, bitch, it's literally what she said all along.
Well, look, but here's the other thing too. Haven't we been told over and over and over again since Harvey Weinstein that the difficulty in reporting these things is the fear that they will not be believed or they'll be retaliated against, etc. So if you say now that this lack of detail from Tara Reid impugns her credibility, then again, hypocrisy.
And again, she is correcting them being wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
They go, oh, you said you never filed a complaint. She never said she filed a formal complaint, the kind of complaint that they're talking about. That's why I said during my stream yesterday, I am curious whether or not Mr. Biden or anybody he knows who may still have friends in the Senate actually have gone ahead and done a search prior to him coming out and talking to Mika yesterday. Because one, if you paid attention to what she said, chances of there being a written report are pretty slim to begin with. And if there was a report even written, it had nothing to do with being pushed against a wall and sexually assaulted. So this is just some of the dirtiest pool I've seen in a long time. And I want to point out again, I don't believe this bitch. I think she's lying. But the way she's being treated, and especially by their own standards, are you kidding? How about just come out? I don't believe you. I don't believe you. Here's the inconsistencies I find with your story. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
But no, they're trying to paint her as a fucking liar. Well, oh no, we're not talking bad about her. She's just a fucking lying bitch. It's horrible. It's anyhow. Yeah, there's no reason there would be the report that all these people think that even though they're hiding this report, they're not really hiding anything. Officer Buck, thank you. What's up on my words? What's up?
On a side thing, I just want to point out real quick. Mashisu asked Tailed Feature, how well is Scribe doing with his lessons, i.e. my Gallic lessons? And he says, he's not doing too badly. Damning with faint praise is what I call that. Thank you, Tailed.
Could be worse. It could be like, bloody shite.
Ew. Gross. What are you eating? Razor
Not
blades?
me. You.
No. I'm not eating razor blades.
I meant your word vomit.
Oh. Okay. Anyway, speaking of vomit, Bluebell agrees to $19 million fine over ice cream linked to 2015 listeria outbreak. Bluebell Creameries agreed to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanors and pay $19.3 million in fines for shipping contaminated ice cream during a 2015 listeria outbreak that left 3 people dead. Its former CEO was charged with conspiracy in a scheme to cover up the incident, the U.S. Department of Justice announced. Federal prosecutors said Friday that the fines are the second largest ever paid in a food safety case. Wow, $19 million for 3 people's lives, you say? Okay. In a plea agreement with federal prosecutors, Bluebell agreed to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts of distributing adulterated ice cream products and pay a criminal fine of $17.25 million. Bluebell also agreed to pay $2.1 million to settle civil claims regarding ice cream products manufactured under insanitary conditions. Insanitary? How about unsanitary? Insanitary sounds like some kind of place you put people who are going mentally ill or something.
Indeed.
In sanitary conditions and sold to federal facilities. Oh, that's why. To federal facilities. If it had been sold to just Joe Schmo on the street, then who gives a shit? Okay. Bluebell ice cream was linked to 10 listeria cases in 4 states, including 3 deaths in Kansas. Listeria could have spread through a drainage system at an Oklahoma plant. The company's former CEO, Paul Cruz, was charged with 7 felony counts, including conspiracy and attempted wire fraud, for allegedly telling Bluebell employees to remove potentially contaminated products from store freezers without notifying retailers or consumers about the reason for the withdrawal. Oh. Cruz's attorney, Chris Flood, told CNN Business in a statement, quote, Paul Cruz is innocent of these charges, unquote. And he, quote, along with all the other employees of Bluebell, did the best they could with the information they had at the time, unquote. Well, I guess the question is, did they know why they were pulling the product before they pulled the product? And if they didn't know why they were pulling the product before they pulled the product, why were they pulling the product?
In chat, somebody said that's a weird use of wire fraud. Not really.
Yeah.
You say the wrong thing over the telephone, it's technically wire fraud.
Mm-hmm.
They can slap you with it. They do it all the time. Wire fraud is got to be one of the most commonly used charges out there. Unsanitary, not clean. Oh wait, you said the same word twice. Unsanitary, not clean. Unsanitary, actively contaminated with filth per 21 CFR regs. Which one was insanitary?
I've already closed the story. Sorry.
No. You said insanitary, but somebody in chat's trying to fix it for us.
Oh, okay.
To explain the difference. One of them is just not clean, and one of them is actually nasty.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I guess I don't see the word insanitary used very often, so it just seemed like it was out of place.
Sure. It's not one I bet many people are common with. Yeah, that's nasty. And was 3 people died? 3
people, yes.
Jesus Christ! And what was the total?
$19.3 million total.
How much did it say? How much of that went to the families?
None.
Oh, so
I mean, there was a civil suit, but that was settled for the settled for the government because of the ice cream shipped to federal facilities.
Sure.
But if there's a separate lawsuit for the families of the those that died, they didn't mention it in that story, or it hasn't been adjudicated yet. Let's say.
Okay. Nobody important clarified. Unsanitary is not clean. Insanitary is actively contaminated.
Okay. Guys, I was confused there for a second. So I was saying word twice, and I was like, "What?" Well, moving on. In one of the given the first story we read and the allegations against him, this headline is particularly poorly worded. Biden says vice presidential committee, quote, looking at more than a dozen women.
You think he's going to judge them based on their legs?
I hope so. That'd be brilliant. If he comes out in an interview and says, what qualities did you find so appealing in, your vice presidential pick X or whatever? Well, she's got a nice set of gams. Former Vice President Joe Biden, for the first time on Sunday, said that his vice presidential vetting committee is looking at, quote, more than a dozen women, unquote. Is it a baker's dozen? And that there is, quote, significantly more than one black woman, unquote, being considered. Significantly more than one.
Is it a representative sample of black women?
I mean, why did you just say women, Joe? Does that mean there aren't any, I don't know, Asian women or Native American women or I don't know. I mean, why did you feel the need to say that particularly? To please Stacey Abrams? Biden, the presumptive Democratic nominee, made the comments in an interview with Reverend Al Sharpton. Oh, that's why. With Reverend Al Sharpton on his MSNBC news show, Politics Nation. It still amazes me that guy is taken seriously anywhere for anything.
He's lost a lot of his clout.
He's lost a lot of weight, too. Have you seen him lately?
He does. He looks like he had cancer.
I mean, admittedly, he's not exactly a spring chicken anymore. So, but all the same, it's like when I see him, I'm like, was my vision of Al Sharpton is like, Tawana Brawley days kind of Al Sharpton.
He was better back then when he looked like a fat pimp.
His bouffant hair and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that, Sharpton.
Biden also acknowledged the push by outside groups for a black woman to be selected as his running mate. Well, is he going to succumb to social pressure in his elections, or is he going to look for someone of merit?
That merit shit is overrated.
I know, because they're pushing for a black woman. I mean, just reduce the denominators down, shall we?
You have to. The only real merit that matters is vagina, right?
Well, according to Joe.
The other, I mean, even black, Asian, whatever he goes with, that's icing on the genetic cake.
Let's just hope in his vetting process he does not digitize his women. Quote, I really do understand that, Al, for real. And that's why I assure you that of the more than a dozen women that they're talking... Wait, let me try that again. Joe's words are confusing. I assure you that of the more than a dozen women that they're taking an initial look at, there are significantly more than one black woman that's going to be considered by this group, first and foremost, number one, unquote.
Significantly more than one, so 2?
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like significantly. I mean, you give me a percentage or something? Like, well, maybe, yeah, well, I guess you could, technically.
Well, that's why I wanted to know if it was a representative sample. Is 12% of them black?
Let's see, what's 12% of 12? Well, there's more than a dozen, but what's 12% of 12? If it's 2, then Satsu's right.
it would be about 2.
Yeah.
Jack, my friend, how are you?
Not bad. How you guys doing?
Oh, wonderful. I'm lagging here, so I brought Jack in to help carry my load, guys. I'm not even going to lie, man. I brought you in to use you tonight.
Jack, you're here for Monkey's load.
That's horrifying.
He said it, guys. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm just pulling a Trump here. He said the words, and I've contextualized.
I said he's here to carry my load.
Oh, well.
That doesn't make it any.
He's delivering it for me.
Okay. Yeah, Biden has promised to choose a woman as his running mate and said he will pick someone who is, quote, simpatico, unquote, with his views. He also recently shared that former President Barack Obama had advised him to pick someone who, quote, has strengths where I have weaknesses, unquote. So, a functioning brain.
Someone who hasn't been accused of grabbing a woman by the vagina.
Uh-huh. And so is that an admission that being white is a weakness?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I guess it depends on who he picks. We'll have to look at every attribute over and say, oh, Joe Biden sees that as a strength, whereas he's the opposite of the weakness.
Thank you, Metal Murderer, over on the Streamlabs. Joe is best vote for U.S. Senate. Don't at me.
I can already tell you who's going to be the VP pick.
Who you got?
It's going to be Medea.
Oh,
seriously. God. Can you imagine Joe Biden watching a Tyler Perry movie, not knowing that it's Amanda Drag? He's like, I like the cut of that lady's jib. I want her. And then he just goes ahead and announces it without anyone having the opportunity to tell him otherwise.
Yeah. No, but then here's the thing: none of the people on his campaign will let him anywhere near social media on his own.
That's true.
Yeah. Nothing he does or says that escapes his mouth, on camera or otherwise, isn't pre-coached. Now, whether or not he can deliver such live is one thing, but he will never be handed an iPhone and said, "Type whatever you want, Joe." Not going to happen.
Somebody make up a headline, a fake headline thing with Joe Biden picks VP and put Medea's picture there. I'll retweet it.
Let's see. I technically have 2 stories left. One's sort of more of an MSS news item, but I'll read the actual news one first, or the opinion one, because I'm suspicious of where this article might go, given the headline. What Asian nations know about squashing COVID. And this is by Jeffrey Sachs, a professor and director of the Center for Sustainable Development at Columbia University. The number of Americans who have died from COVID-19 now significantly exceeds the total U.S. troop fatalities during the Vietnam War.
Oh God.
They
love saying that.
They really do. It's like, let's take a particularly horrible benchmark of failed foreign policy and military movement and compare that to COVID, which doesn't have the same kind of at all situation. Anyway, while the coronavirus continues to ravage the country, oh yeah, I just look outside and it's completely scorched earth out there. With confirmed cases exceeding 1 million, are they? Although I bet infections probably exceed 1 million, and deaths rising by the day. And are they actually deaths from COVID-19? We have to ask the question. Some states are lifting stay-at-home orders in hopes of salvaging the economy. With so many lives at stake, it's time the United States look to those countries in the Asia-Pacific region that have successfully controlled the pandemic to figure out how to save ourselves and the economy. Okay. Several places in the Asia-Pacific, including Australia, China, New Zealand, South Korea, Taiwan, and Vietnam have reported suppressing the reproduction number, the average number of people who will catch the disease from a single infected person, to below 1, without the need for continued widespread lockdowns. They are now rapidly and successfully suppressing outbreaks of the disease by isolating those who are infected and their contacts who are likely to be infected. It's as if they are two worlds. Or there are two worlds. Yeah, one where you have personal freedom and one where you live under a completely totalitarian regime of some kind.
No,
you're right.
Like.
You're right. Yeah, China to here. Yeah, China's got it locked, man. They're being honest about all their numbers, and they have no more infections.
If we're using the China model, all you got to do is shoot people and say they didn't die of COVID.
I'm going to skip down a little bit here. Despite the stark disparities, America seems blind to the strategies other countries have used to control the virus. How is it that one part of the world is succeeding while the other part refuses to learn the lessons of success? The lessons of success, yeah.
Well, it's capitalism, right? That's the answer.
Many have adopted nationwide public health standards using mobile technologies, professionalism of government, widespread use of face masks and hand sanitizers, and intensive public health services to isolate infected individuals or those likely to be infected. Let me read that again. Intensive public health services to isolate infected individuals or those likely to be infected.
So that Chinese hospital that fell down, that was just intensive isolation?
Well, no, here's the thing. So mobile technology. So you have an app on your phone, you report having, contracted COVID or whatever, and then they look back in your history to find out which other phones have you been nearby. They identify those people, and then they lock them in their houses, whether they want to be or not. That is the intensive public health services he's talking about here, and mentioning mobile technologies in the same sentence. Yeah, that's it. The government gets to find out who you are and dictate your freedom of movement based on a suspicion that you may be infected or may possibly have kind of gotten near someone who was. Yeah, this is what this guy's advocating for. Hey, let's just throw all our civil liberties out the window. It's fine. The other countries that are doing this, that are sort of violating people's rights, that, that go against our values. Yeah, that's fine. Just do that. That's better. That's how we can learn the lessons from the other countries.
I see what you're saying, but if you're going to quarantine, because that's the word we like to use here, self-quarantines, you quarantine sick people, not healthy people.
Yes.
So at least that makes more sense to me than like what my governor did with telling me I can't go to my own house if I have to.
Right.
I mean, believe it or not, this guy who's actually being quite authoritarian, the guy you're reading, he's actually a little more liberal than what's going on in the U.S. You're only talking about locking down the sick or actually suspected sick. And I don't agree with that because, yeah, you're talking about they have to have full access to all of our medical records, and you're going to be, I don't want to say punished, but locked up.
And I just want to say, I mean, this only ticks me off in the sense in a situation where widespread testing is not available. If everybody was being tested, if every Rite Aid and Walgreens and everything else had a little testing center, you went there, you find out, do I already have the antibodies? Don't I? Am I infected with it? Am I suffering from the disease? Whatever. And then you could find people and then, medically isolate them or send them home or something else and pick out, the sick from, et cetera. Not in an illegal way necessarily, but, public health way. Okay, fine. I could see that. But we're not living under that situation. And in the absence of everybody having the opportunity to tell whether they do or don't, whether they have the antibodies or not, you can't just suspect someone might be and lock them away.
Mash, thank you. Oh, real quick. Ranting Monkey, just because at Baddies in the chat, don't use a racket on him or I'll put you in the corner. 2, first of all, 1, I never used a racket. And 2, nobody has the power to put me in the corner.
You're already in the corner. Look, Scribe, it's called pre-crime. It's the only way we can stop these people, these hideous monsters that are spreading plague around. And screw privacy. That is not something the peasants are allowed to have.
Metal Murderer, thank you. $20 for a flu shot. Why no $20 1-hour testing?
I don't know. I mean, I think if they were able to put out at least antibody tests, like, have I already had this? Have I already been exposed? That probably set a lot of people's minds at ease about certain things. It doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get sick, but at least it lets you know that you've been living a while with it and nothing happened, conceivably, or you got past it. But we don't have that. So in the absence of information, it's like, okay, we all voluntarily, lock ourselves down or whatever. But just randomly picking people out on the chance they might be, how about you test them first? How about you make sure before you start depriving somebody of their rights or anything?
Officer Bug, thank you. It's not like Australia, New Zealand are just big islands with Australia having tight, very tight. I'm guessing very tight immigration and government overreach.
No. No, it's not that at all.
Or small islands with small populations where it's a lot easier to do contact tracing than, I don't know, New York fucking city. They do this with so many things. The US, guys, is more comparable to the whole of Europe than any one country, even within Europe, and even much different than most countries in the Asian Pacific.
I think that this is going to show why we need more facial recognition with more cameras everywhere, so everybody could be identified at any point in time, and then the contact tracing will happen. Because only living in a police state can this get done.
Well, wait, but no.
We should call them the Karen cams.
We're all wearing masks, though, so they can't identify us.
Tracking chips planted in the webbing between our thumb and first finger will alleviate a lot of that. It'll have not only our medical record, but also our social credit score and history of our financial transactions. Because you may have given money to somebody, and that could be a problem too. I mean, we don't know what other crimes you've committed that we'll stumble across.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting watching all this justification for this stuff. And I saw an interesting post. Somebody was saying, like, so these are the pros and cons. Like, everything has goods, a good and a bad point. You guys love your capitalism for all these reasons, but under this type of system, it's easy for governments to be able to regulate and keep everybody safe because they have 100% control over your lives. And I'm like, what a compelling argument.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. That's you might have a point there. Oh, God. I mean, and it does truly, like, people, we make fun of it or whatever, but it does actually put them in a better position to contain this stuff because they can contain you at any given moment. That don't necessarily mean that's a great thing. It's just the fact of the way it works.
Yeah, because the problem is that as soon as you relinquish your, I mean, if you have the option to, I guess I should say, depending on the country, but as soon as you relinquish your ability to make your own choices to the government, it is exceedingly difficult for that power to ever be let go. Mm-hmm. I mean, they talk all the time in the Senate about getting rid of the filibuster. Well, they never do, because as soon as one side has it, they don't want to let it go. Executive orders, they're not going to let those go, and so on and so on. Yeah.
Metal Murderer, thank you. Scribe, Satsu, Bad Comic Review Streams. DM Lady Monkey on Twitter. She can put Ranting Monkey in the corner. At her, we have the power to put Monk in the corner. No, you don't. She doesn't have that power either. Ask her. Officer Buck, thank you. Isn't it great how we can point to countries with tiny populations as examples of things we want to bring over here to America? Socialism versus
Virus.
I think
privacy, I'm guessing, yeah. Yeah, they really love these countries. I don't know why many more of them don't go live.
Because they want the power. They don't want to be under the power.
How dare you suggest that they're being one-sided in there?
I dare, sir. Let me grab a couple of Streamlabs real quick.
Oh, please do.
Thank you, tall person. I'm glad I caught you on a stream while I'm awake. It's the first Saturday of May. Happy Free Comic Book Day, everybody. Ouch, since all the comic book stores are closed. Thank you, Okie Native. I was going to use this as gas money to take my mother to the mobile COVID test center, but I'm sure she's fine, and you need some fried rice more.
Wow.
Thanks, Okie.
Remember, guys, if you donate to Jack, make him feel bad about the donation.
No, don't do that.
But those are all the stories that I had pulled up.
Could I trouble you to read MSS News tonight, my friend?
I guess.
I appreciate it.
All right, guys.
I'm doing my best. I'm struggling.
Guys, if you have news stories you would like us to read on the air, please send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag MSSNews. Can't promise to get to them all, but that's because Monkey won't do his damn job. I'm kidding.
Fuck you.
I'm kidding. Let me see. Where did that one go that I just had a minute ago? There it is. So I'm going to read this one because it's from me right now.
That seems self-serving.
It does, doesn't it? But then I'm selfish today.
You got a microphone. It's your prerogative.
I guess that's true. Is sleep a feminist issue? This is how men steal our sleep.
We did this one.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, never mind then. I defer then. See, nothing happened. I lost.
That article is very interesting, though, and not in the way you think.
This one comes from Desert Tramp. Navajo death row inmate loses appeal to probe racial bias. Okay. The only Native American on federal death row lost a bid Thursday to look into potential racial bias in his case. The 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld a decision by a federal court in Arizona that Lesmond Mitchell, Lesmond? L-E-Z-M-O-N-D, Lesmond, okay, had no grounds to interview jurors for potential bias against Native Americans. Mitchell was convicted of the 2001 murder of a fellow Navajo tribal member and her 9-year-old granddaughter on the reservation that extends into Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. He was scheduled to be executed last December, but the Ninth Circuit put it on hold because of his attorney's appeal. The 3-judge panel found Mitchell failed to show any discrimination occurred among the jury and pointed out several safeguards that were in place. Quote, jurors were asked about their attitudes towards Native Americans, were instructed not to consider race, and were required to sign a certification attesting that they did not consider race, Judge Sandra Ikuda wrote. Because ultimately, no one's a mind reader. But, you do what you can. Mitchell's attorneys could ask for a rehearing before the full Ninth Circuit. They said Thursday they will pursue all available avenues of relief.
They're just reaching.
That's the attorney's job. That's the point of the appeal. Yeah. I don't blame them for trying, but yeah, it's a reach.
Yeah, and chances are, if the limited night, holy crap, Michael, thank you. Haven't caught Lords of the Night in ages. Please forgive me. Oh, nothing to forgive. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and thank you for that very generous donation. I'm glad to see that it was shot down. It's not the full 9th hearing. It's not going to change anything. Dude, you're going to die, man. You shouldn't have killed that woman and her kid. Or her grandkid. Sorry.
Yeah, grandkid even. Let's see. This one comes from Top Ramen Lewis. Radio signal coming from inside the Milky Way detected by astronomers. Oh my
God.
God.
Turn my radio down.
It's from inside the house.
Oh no! A radio signal coming from a source within the Milky Way has been detected by astronomers. The signal is a fast radio burst, or FRB, bright radio bursts. What? The signal is a fast radio burst, bright radio bursts. I'm sure there's a way that makes sense. That last milliseconds and appear to come from deep space. Because they are short-lived, they were often only identified in satellite data after the signal was recorded. Finding where they came from and what produced them has been largely a mystery. The first FRBs were discovered over a decade ago. Since then, scientists have been trying to work out what is causing them. Aliens. Suggestions have included cataclysmic events such as the collision of two neutron stars or a collapsing black hole. No, aliens. But these hypotheses were questioned when a repeating FRB was uncovered. A black hole can only collapse once because when the FRB repeated, scientists realized that either there must be another explanation or more than one source that can produce these bursts. Aliens. Over recent years, an international group of scientists has come together to solve the mystery of FRBs. Somebody's breathing quite pronouncedly. And you have something to say, somebody?
No, I'm laughing at Furry Kitten said, when slowed down, I hope it's a Rickroll.
Wouldn't that be great?
I'm trying to laugh quietly. Yes, that would be.
Put them all together, like overlap them like in Contact or something, and you get like Rick Astley dancing around. Let's see. The collaboration has led to the discovery of more FRBs, with researchers using the findings to home in on more of their locations across the universe. Across the universe. For example, earlier this year, one team was able to trace an FRB to a, quote, odd, unquote, V-shaped star-forming region in a huge spiral galaxy 500 million light years away. Let's see. Until now, however, none appeared to have come from our own galaxy. The latest discovery was announced in the Astronomer's Telegram by Paul Schultz of the University of Toronto, Canada, on behalf of the CHIME, the Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment, and FRB collaboration. In it, the team announced the detection of a bright radio burst coming from the active magnetar known as SGR 1935 plus 2154. This is a type of neutron star, the collapsed core of a massive star that is thought to have an extremely powerful magnetic field. So, there you go. Ta-da!
Now, we all know what's really going on here. Clearly, this was a distress signal from some sort of treasury ship loaded with undefined amounts of wealth. So we need to get out there and claim this loot for ourselves.
I feel like that's a reference to something I don't get.
No, I'm just setting up a future Mad World scenario where the humans are racing other aliens to get to the loot out there in the middle of the galaxy or whatever. I think it'd make a great movie.
I think we need to ask our neighbors to turn their damn radios down.
Well, here's the thing, though. I thought the neutron star was Garrett Hedlund.
That's another reference I don't get.
It's Tron Legacy.
The new Tron star.
Oh.
Funny.
I thought it was good, Scribe.
That means nothing to me.
I know.
Okay. This one comes from Chicago Mike. And strangely enough, it has to do with Chicago. 6 parties planned for Saturday. CPD will not hesitate to make arrests.
For parties or shooting?
Let's find out. Mayor Lightfoot and Chicago police said Saturday that the city will not hesitate to make arrests during parties as the coronavirus pandemic continues, maybe? Good job, WGN9. Newly appointed Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown said officers have learned of 6 parties planned for Saturday night after, quote, parties were all over the city, unquote, on Friday. CPD said no arrests were made, but they were dispersed. Quote, we are aware of 6 parties tonight, Brown said. Okay, the word that they're using is complainant. Non-complainant will result in citations. I would think he means non-compliance. But
no, the non-complainant is the person that's being reported. So if I complain about my neighbors, they're the non-complainant in the two parties.
Okay, non-complainant will result in citations, fines, and arrests, unquote.
Yeah, he probably meant to say non-compliance, but
yeah, because
that's non-complainant is an actual thing. I just think he used it wrong.
No, I know non-complainant is a real word. I was just in the context of this; it doesn't work.
I think somebody let their spell check fix it for him.
Yeah.
The press conference was held Saturday. Oh, sorry.
I said somebody's using Grammarly.
Yep.
The press conference was held Saturday near Springfield and Adams after police learned of a planned party nearby tonight. The mayor said while she is more anxious than anyone to open the city back up, officials are relying on data and science to determine when more steps need to be taken, like the science of arresting people for having a party. Okay. Mayor Lightfoot said she was upset after last weekend's gatherings, which included a large house party on the west side and wedding that spilled out into the streets in West Ridge. Quote, "We will shut you down, we will cite you, and we will take you to jail," the mayor said. "Don't make us treat you like a criminal." Don't make us treat you like a criminal.
For not breaking the rules.
Don't make us, guys.
Well, it's literally what they're doing. Treating you like a criminal for not being one.
Well, hold on. Is this story, is all these parties being thrown and attended by black people?
Well, it's Chicago, so I'm guessing so.
Oh, well, I just wanted to make sure because I was told that white people are excluded from this rule. Whenever something happens, and they said it because of the protest thing in Michigan. They said because those people were white, they were able to do that. But if they were black, it would have been a massacre, and it just would have been dead bodies all over the Capitol. They would have killed them all.
Dead bodies everywhere.
And they said that only black people are being arrested for being outside during the quarantine and breaking whatever rules they claim seem to be in place. So I was just making sure that this story was consistent with the reality of the world, so that way we are all in sync here.
It said South Side, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Mash, thank you. Yes, folks, it's dueling grammar, not C's.
We're not dueling. Scribe would win.
I don't know about that.
Yes, we have two English majors on the show right now.
Speaking of language, I guess, this one comes from Frosted Glass. Can you imagine of the source it comes?
I'm going to go medium just out of...
You're correct.
Betting the odds.
Why woke is not a joke.
Oh, dear fuck.
This is by Michael Canty. I'm woke. The term woke has become the punchline of many a joke among free-thinking, politically savvy people in America. It is a guaranteed laugh generator and a surefire way of endearing yourself in most social groups. It is also another example of how repeated media messaging dilutes the empowering experiences of Black and brown people.
You mean to tell me that the people who created that word and have been using it all this time in order to push whatever agendas they're trying to push aren't the ones responsible? It's something else? Okay. That's
how did this read go left so fast? What? I'm reading it as it's written, guys. It's sort of like a rhetorical question. It says, how did this read, R-E-A-D, go left so fast, unquote. Does that make sense?
I think I get what they're trying to say, but...
Okay, and then the author goes on. I'm glad you asked. Too often you hear media anchors and political professionals, like us, oh, well, not really, use this term to characterize the personality and political expectations of a particular group of people. If you're using their terminology, okay.
One moment.
Yeah.
Metal Murderer, thank you. Imagine dueling something other than pistols or banjos. Thank you for the donation.
Accompanying the term are descriptors like extreme, far left, too liberal, and my least favorite, Black Twitter.
What?
Don't they call it Black Twitter?
Oh boy.
That was my understanding.
We need to go to our senior black correspondent. Satsu, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Do they call it Black Twitter?
The Negroes.
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Oh, okay. And back to you, Scribe in studio.
The experience of people in America not classified white has been a mind-bending, soul-stirring, emotional roller coaster that even the most accomplished social and political scientists are hesitant to define.
What?
Everything our country stands on has a, quote, but in your case, unquote, clause. What are you talking about? Well, now we're reaching back. Let's start. I want to break this next sentence down for a reason, because the first 5 words really kick it. Let's start with President Lincoln's promise to right the most obvious social and moral wrong of American history, kidnapping and enslaving Africans brought to America, classifying them as property, and using them to advance economic interests, including building permanently historic structures they were never allowed to enjoy.
Correction. Purchasing.
What?
They were purchasing the slaves. They weren't running out and grabbing them with nets. And also, are we really reaching back to Lincoln? I mean, come on. Saying that this was an obvious historical injustice, at the time, it was a very controversial thing to be an abolitionist, because they felt these were inferior people. That was a mindset that was very prevalent. So it was not, quote, obvious, end quote. This is putting modern ideas on the past, and that's a very dangerous thing to do.
After the Union Army defeated Confederates in the Civil War, there should be a comma there, a promise to make restitution to former slaves through land and property was made, but never realized, and continues to go unfulfilled. Yet to satisfy the concerns of the economically disadvantaged former slave owners, government ensured they were paid handsomely for their troubles. Yes, there were a lot of injustices done hundreds of years ago. It's true. Yet in the case of reparations and in the face of irrefutable data on generational wealth, the very same arguments and efforts blocking the, quote, 40 acres and a mule, unquote, promise still remain effective. Being able to literally use the same arguments more than 100 years later is one of the best examples of the but in your case approach to equity.
There's not a promise of equity.
It's so funny, man. And like somebody just brought up in the chat too, you can still go to Africa and purchase slaves. Like you can right now if you wanted to.
Oh my God.
You just can't bring them here.
Yeah, you just can't bring them here. But you can still go and do that.
I'm sorry, this next sentence. Okay, now in context to what we've just read, let's say, then there's the cherished and regularly celebrated U.S. Constitution.
Yeah.
Politicians quote it more than any document created since Europeans arrived on native territory.
Because it's the foundation of our government. Go ahead.
And also, actually, you might have to say that the Bible is probably quoted more than the Constitution by politicians.
Fair point.
These days, probably the Constitution.
Well, argument depending on what part of the country you're in, I suppose. Some might even call it America's true Bible. Some might, but it's not a Bible.
Fucking foundational document.
Yeah, and it is written, quote, all men are created equal, unquote, except if you're incarcerated.
What?
If you're incarcerated, presumably, you have denied an equality of treatment to someone else. You have violated the rights of someone else, and you are forfeiting your right to be considered equal to other citizens. Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
Real quick, Mash. Thank you. Scribe, sorry to interrupt, but please stop. This article has me pounding my head on my desk. Not yet. I want to see where this goes, if it goes anywhere. And Timothy, thank you. Lincoln didn't make the promise 40 acres and a mule. A general did. And thank you, Metal Murderer, who says $2 to say map equals pedos. Twitter is effing wrong.
Okay.
Thank you.
Except if you're incarcerated, period. Jim Crow laws and the prison industrial complex continue to ensure there are a group of folks, currently 75% black and brown, not eligible to enjoy these inalienable rights.
And this is because they're incarcerated?
Yes.
They're obviously incarcerated because of their skin color, Satsu.
Well, that has to be the only reason, right? What else?
Yeah, I mean, crimes are structured against black and brown bodies. That's how this works, I'm sure.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate the fact that in most cases, there's very few which involve the direct incarceration, the Supreme Court still upholds the rights of prisoners under the fucking Constitution.
Yes. In fact, the Constitution ensures certain rights are granted to those incarcerated. Even those who have violated the law, even those who have violated the rights of others, they still hold rights.
Look, these hate facts go against the narrative, so we're going to go ahead and ignore those.
Hashtag hate facts.
Then there were the patriots, black men who actively chose to risk their lives for America's ideals.
Yep.
Even though they were prevented from voting, they fought in the Civil War and every other American war to ensure democracy triumphed over tyrannical rule anywhere. Then they came home to a country where they were no longer treated as property, just beneath human dignity.
That happened for way too long. Yes, it did.
Yeah. Even after Vietnam, soldiers came home and treated like shit. Didn't matter what they looked like. We will never know the actual number of lives lost to brutal beatings and lynchings that occurred because someone classified as white said a black man or woman did something wrong. We didn't accurately or consistently record life and death events on black and brown people. While some can trace their lineage back to specific people in Europe, the family trees of black people often stop at the late 1800s if they're lucky. Today, with the magic of DNA testing, non-white people can often obtain detailed knowledge of their ancestral geographic connections back to their African tribe, inviting a celebration of what it means to be from a region or tribe with specific characteristics, practices, and culture. It also means my life did not begin at American slavery. Your life never began at American. What the fuck?
Your life wasn't even remotely connected to it.
Well, unless they're a vampire, they may be confessing something here.
Where did we start and where are we going?
Yeah, what the fuck was the title of this?
Why
something about wokeness?
Why woke is not a joke?
No, this sounds exactly like a joke, a really poorly long, rambling one.
This is why anybody who says woke unironically is treated like a joke.
Okay, I'm skipping down a bit. Maybe this is the point. I don't know. So woke, quote unquote, is not a term used to relax the atmosphere of a party or to ingratiate yourself with an unfamiliar group or a social anxiety reliever. It's not meant to ingratiate yourself because I've seen that done tons of times. It is the psychological, spiritual, and intellectual understanding of American history and my individual place in it. It is the awareness of the ideologies passed on with the property willed to designated recipients, reinforcing hundreds of years of abuse, hatred, and pain, smothering black and brown people. It is no longer denying how this country was created, how some benefited from those efforts, and how some are still suffering because of the trauma of decades of economic oppression and a government that does not always respect its inhabitants. It is the experience of a deeper understanding of my people.
Does anyone else think this sounds like a term paper somebody wrote to get out of a real assignment at school?
I could see it as that.
Maybe
I'm just go ahead, Satsu.
Maybe it was the paper they wrote to get into college.
Written by Michael Canty, race, culture, leadership, and passion coach.
Passion coach.
Passion coach.
Sounds like a pimp.
Well, it's either sounds like that or one of those sort of like self-help gurus who basically is just there to pick up chicks.
Over on the Streamlabs, and this ties in very well. Thank you, Tumbleweed. Woohoo!
Okay. I'm curious about something he said there, and we're going to wrap up MSS News Time because we got to get on with the rest of it. But if I got the gist of where we were going, and then the skip part there, being able to use 23andMe or whatever service you use to trace back your lineage to a specific tribe will somehow enrich your life today. And that's why woke isn't a joke. But I don't understand. Real quick, thank you, Officer Buck. Insert Monty Python, get on with it clip.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. I've never understood this. Maybe it's because I don't trace my family heritage back. I don't care about people that I never met. But I don't understand, like, my great-great-grandmother, she lived here and she washed clothes in this creek, and how that makes me any different. It seems like superficial bullshit.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people put way too much reliance on what their ancestors did as forming some part of their personality. It's not about the ancestors and knowing your lineage. It's about, look, I can attach myself to these people, therefore I don't have to make any actual accomplishments.
You know, the only thing I know about the Irish is potatoes and drunkenness, and that's enough for me. I don't need to know where my actual ancestors lived, if they've been oppressed actually by the English or maybe blew some up. I don't know. I don't care. I don't know these people.
Okay.
I'll never know them, and knowing about them doesn't matter to me. I'm sorry.
Calculating SJW response. Of course you wouldn't, monkey, because you're white and your heritage has always been readily available to you. So it is your privilege to not care because it's always been there.
Fair enough. Now we're drunks that like potatoes, and if we run out, we die. So we live on potatoes and whiskey. And that's fact. Look it up, guys. This is going to move us on to YouTube time. And Satsu, what you did today?
Well, I was supposed to upload a video, but after editing it completely and rewatching it to make sure that everything was good, I found out that it wasn't good, and I got annoyed. So I stopped. Because the issue wasn't like, oh, I just need to go back and do this. It was like, oh, I need to like literally erase like 15 minutes of what I did and go back and redo it. I'm like, I'm gonna go cook dinner. So that's what I did. She was being a little bundle of joy today. Not crazy, shockingly enough. Just a happy little baby, which I'm all for. And that was pretty much it for my day.
You think she was good today because she's like, man, I've been a pain in Dad's ass the last few days, and then he sent me away. I better be good.
Yeah, that could be. But she was just chilling, man. No issues, no drama. And the only time she really got annoyed is when we left her in a room alone, because she's at that stage now where when she sees us leave the room, like, you know, she's like, where are you going? Oh God, don't abandon me. And I'm like, I'm right here, not going nowhere. So it was a pretty good day.
And Scribbles, what you been working on?
Well, I did another TED Excellence today, where I believe she was either Norwegian or German, but speaking in the Netherlands or something, telling us how walls are bad because they separate us.
Oh.
And they encourage an us and them dynamic, even though they keep out the weather and provide privacy and protection. They're still bad, and we need to not glorify them because they create mental walls that separate and divide us. And then she went on this long anecdote about a school she worked at. It was actually two different schools that were right next to each other, or like one building that was split into two different schools, and the playground was divided by a fence. And this was a terrible thing. And she never explained, like, well, what's the official reason for there being a fence? So you can tell us why your argument is the more correct or more moral solution. She never did that. And the end of the anecdote, well, there wasn't an end of the anecdote because she never told us that they got rid of the fence because of the things that she did. So I guess it's still there. It was one of those things where, I watch a lot of these things, as you can tell, and usually they have a point. It might not be a very good point. It might not be a salient point, but there's a point. Never got to a point. We were all. I think I'm safe to say with most of the audience that we were all sort of sitting on the edge of our seat, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Never happened. And ta-da! So there was that, and then tomorrow, presumably at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, over on Tailed Features channel, I'll be having my 6th lesson of Scottish Gaelic. And then I intend at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, to do another TED Excellence because I have found a TED Talk wherein a woman named Karen is going to tell us how to correct masculinity.
Well, that thought, Shrouded Angel, thank you so much for the sticker with the cheering pair. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That was it. They'll have another TED Excellence tomorrow where literally a Karen was going to educate men on how to be better men.
So,
all right.
Is it safe to assume that woman lives on just a platform?
Who, the Karen?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is a pretty pink platform.
I would imagine so. Just a platform, an open platform with no walls, and on all the appliances.
Oh, the first lady. Oh,
yeah.
Well, that was the thing. At one point, I said when she said all these horrible things about walls, I said, "Oh, and our speaker obviously lives out in the woods with no tent." I mean, I don't know. These walls are inherently bad or are metaphors for human suffering or something, all by their lonesome. I don't understand the logic. I mean, if you want to use it in a poetic sense, that's usually what they do. It's like, okay, I can kind of see where you mean in an artistic sense, but at the same time, it's not at all practical. And what the hell are you talking about? Is kind of how I go.
Thank you, Metal Murderer. Sleepy, too much OT, $2. Good night. Good night, sir. Have a good one. And Tumbleweed, thank you. Insurance money. I appreciate that. What do I need insurance for?
Because you triple.
That's it.
Too late for that. Varor of Ashmedai's son, Tristan, turns 3 tomorrow, and he's requested a song. So, little Tristan, if you're out there, I hope you have a great one. This one's for you, bud. And a 1 and a 2.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
3 is an awesome age.
Happy birthday, dear Tristan.
But 4, oh God.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Tristan. I hope you have a great one. Man, 3. So long ago.
Yes.
Do y'all remember being 3?
Oh, absolutely not.
Jack, anything for you've been doing on the YouTubes?
I recorded a couple of videos, 5 to be exact, and I've been trying to edit them and failing horribly because then I took a nap. But on the Streamlabs, thank you, Jordan250. Pizza's got delivered, but guess who's getting the tip? Thank you. And Cryptic, what's that?
I said just the tip.
Hey, yeah. Well, if they want more, they got to pay extra. And thank you, Cryptic. I should give this money to Operation Christmas Child. This Christmas is going to be rough due to the economy, but they can do without toys. Thank you, Cryptic.
Wow.
And that's all I got accomplished. So I got some recording done, but nothing else.
I didn't do anything last night. I did jump on Bloodwing stream for a little while today and had to stop because my voice, man, there's something wrong with my throat. I'm not going to the doctor because they'll give me some diagnosis, and that's what makes you sick, guys. So it'll pass, I'm hoping. But yeah, so I took a day off of Monkey in the Morning, and I'll try to get one out tonight, guys. We'll play it by ear, but we do have the stream coming up on 2 Cents Plus right after this, playing some Fallout 76. come watch that. And then we'll have the one tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's the long one. And there's a chance to win a $60 or less Steam game, your choice. So come check it out.
Wow.
With that, we move on to Humpetry. And up first, Satsu, what you got? I heard you had some humping going on over there.
Did you?
Somebody mentioned it in chat that you had some. I think it was Ryan said he pointed you towards some Humpetry.
I don't really remember what Humpetry it is that Ryan's talking about, but there was some Facebook stuff going on.
Uh-oh.
Which you guys know is always wonderful over on the Facebook. So let me go to my page here. All right, so I saw a YouTube article, a Yahoo article today about YouTube that says that YouTube removed 300 ads for Trump's re-election campaign.
Wow.
And I'm just like, isn't that what some would qualify or classify as election meddling?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was an interesting thing to see. I'm like, what? They could just do that? Huh. Okay. Cool beans. And nobody has a problem with it. All right, fine. I didn't read exactly why, but I also saw something that says white privilege is violating the governor's executive order and standing on the Capitol steps with an assault weapons and guns without being fined or tear gassed by the police. Yet black and brown people, Detroiters, were fined $1,000 for simply going to the park. Unreal. And I'm just like, yeah, black people are the only ones to ever be fined for, breaking the whatever rules that were set and established. And I had a person say that due to Michigan law, it is illegal to brandish weapons and it's a misdemeanor. So regardless of what I say or think, they are terrorists by law.
Open carry is not the same as brandishing a weapon.
Well, she is 100% convinced that they were brandishing their weapons and threatening the people there, demanding whatever it is they want with the threat of violence is what she said specifically. Because they had guns, that's what they were doing.
I have a donation here. Wait, where'd it go?
Oh.
I had one from Cryptic that came up on my alert, but it's not showing up in my donation here. There it is. I was going to give my money. Never mind, wrong person. And Jordan, thank you. Why are potatoes bad at video games? Because they mash all the buttons. Thank you, gentlemen. Jack, you're much bigger on firearms than I am. Brandishing a weapon is not just carrying one. Right?
No, brandishing implies more that you have it in your hand and you're waving it around kind of thing, or you're pointing it at somebody.
Right.
Whereas like carrying something just means it's typically in a holster or slung on your back if it's a rifle, that sort of thing. That's much different. Unless you're in a state where they don't allow open carry, then they might consider brandishing. But Michigan has open carry.
Yes, we do.
Well, she considered the fact that their guns were in their hands and they were yelling at the police. That's brandishing. So,
I'd have to see the picture she's talking about.
There's several pictures out there of the people holding their weapons. Almost every one I've seen, it was holstered to them at the same time. So I don't know, but that's her view of it.
The reason I say it, because the pictures there's the one famous picture of the fat fuck who's going bald, who's screaming in the face of a cop. There's no gun present on him that you can see in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen any of them with the protesters right up in front of the police holding their guns. I feel like that is a good way to get shot.
Well, if they were black, they would have gotten shot anyway.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, and that picture's cropping up again with a Black Lives Matter person holding a sign, and they're like thug, and then it quotes, and then they show the white dude with the gun, and they're like a protester, and I'm just like, oh boy, here we go. Because whenever Black Lives Matter and Antifa protest, they don't ever have weapons, they're never armed, they just got signs, and they're peacefully standing around, and people are like, look at those thugs. That's how that goes usually. There's no destruction of property, attacking of other people, or brandishing any other kinds of weapons. Nah, they're just standing around, man. That's what they always do, and people always call those black people thugs. It's horrible. It's also false, but it is what it is. Now there are some people who might, but you don't see that shit in the media. It's just like randos, because the media is progressive as fuck right now. So you rarely will see anything like that in the media nowadays. Even fucking conservative media, because I did used to see that stuff, but I don't even really see it over there anymore. Usually they just stick to the point and talk about exactly what happened. So that's the thing. Yahoo also posted another article. When was this? Let me check the date on this. Oh, this was April 29th. It says evidence emerges for sex assault allegations against Biden. And I think this is just an addition to the Tara Reid stuff. At first, initially I thought this was something new, but apparently it's not. So let me see. There was one other. Oh yeah. So what do you guys think? I wanted to ask you a question on what you thought about the difference. Because she was specifying firearms and saying that because they had firearms, that makes it different. They're more fit the bill of domestic terrorists because they were there with guns than Antifa, who for the most part didn't have guns. They just had blunt objects and other weapons and shit like that. Am I correct in thinking that's ridiculous, or does it matter what the weapon is?
I think it matters what your intent is. Because when you saw Antifa folks showing up with clubs and shit to go to their peaceful protests, it was so they could hit people with them. Yeah,
that's specifically why they brought them, and that's exactly what they used them for when they got there.
I've yet to see any of these ones like the ones going on right now where people are showing up with guns and anybody gets shot.
Right.
Well, look, it's a lot harder to knock over a trash can with a bullet than it is with a club, because you need a blunt object to knock that trash can over.
I don't know. I think maybe the bullet would help them in some of these cases. I love when they're bolted down and they get pissed off trying to knock them over.
Yeah, but the bolt's just going to pierce right through there. You need to bash that thing hard enough to get that leverage,
you shoot it enough on the bottom, it'll come apart.
I have a suspicion these idiots would just shoot themselves in the foot.
They would, and I think that's probably why I'm wishing for it. But no, to your question, no, I think there's a very big difference when one, it's people going out there supporting their constitutional rights, and one of those constitutional rights is the right to carry a gun. No incidents from CNN's fucking reporting. It was perfectly peaceful, except for 2 protesters who got into a fight, and one of them got arrested. That's it. Nobody got arrested. The cops said it all went very well. The difference here is how the crowds behave, and what they're carrying shouldn't matter if you're not using it.
Yeah. Well, I explained to her that there were no incidents outside the one incident between 2 protesters outside. They complied with all the orders that were given, including the separation orders that limited an X amount of people to go in. They complied completely with that. They left at the allotted time that was given to them, and there was no incidents, and both them and the authorities left at 5. And she was like, well, it doesn't matter. They're still terrorists. And I'm like, well, these are the nicest fucking terrorists I've ever met. Like, if this is terrorism, then I don't particularly have a problem with this form of terrorism.
If this is terrorism, the Muslims are doing it wrong.
I guess so. So, I mean, it all really comes down to what people want to think, and she wants to believe that these are horrible monsters. So I'm like, no matter what the situation is, there's no explanation you can really give her that will convince her otherwise. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, I guess. But
True.
there you go.
I just love they stormed the Capitol, like they came in peacefully in the 275 allotted at a time.
Yeah, that's how you storm a place. I don't know.
They were like lined up at Disneyland. They weren't storming. What the fuck are y'all talking about?
Also, the narrative that they held the people hostage inside, like they were.
Yes.
The people were held up inside the building. It's like no, they all the function that was supposed to take place in that building happened exactly how they were supposed to that day. But cool, whatevs.
Yeah, worst hostage taking I've ever seen. On the Streamlabs, thank you, Okie Native. The Feeding America charity can wait. The Asian escorts in your basement need food more. No, they're just trying to look good for me. Thank you, Okie.
Cryptic, thank you. Do people find out about a planet's death in the obituary? Go sit in the corner. Thank you for the donation.
Anyway, that was all my phone.
What you got, Scribbles?
I got a couple of things. Probably my most, I guess, popular one today is in response to a Joe Biden tweet. Joe Biden says, to the U.S. women's national team, don't give up this fight. This is not over yet. To the U.S. Soccer Association, equal pay now, or else when I'm president, you can go elsewhere for World Cup funding. And I said, Joe, did you read the judge's decision? They chose their own payment structure. They weren't denied anything. So as president, you're going to punish U.S. soccer for giving women the ability to make their own decisions.
Yes, because you shouldn't do that. Women are too stupid to know what they want. You need to tell them what they want and make them comply.
Let's see. It's not really fucketry so much, but after 2 weeks of not having any, I finally had my first bag of goldfish in a while.
Congratulations.
Happy for you.
And this isn't fucketry technically as well, but I did want to bring up something about last night. We read that story, the guy talking about how to advise white allies on, discussing issues with people.
Yeah.
I got disappointed in myself because the entire time, as I mentioned while I was reading, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. I was waiting for the Trojan horse, etc. Right? And I was upset that it didn't ever arrive, really. And I felt that I came away from that going like, why am I doing that? Why can't I just read something without automatically assuming I know where it's going? And it's not to say that, I'm a perfect individual and I never do such things like that. But I have to confess, it was an example, and one that annoyed me, of my preconceived bias. And so not that I have anybody to apologize to specifically or anything, so much as it bothered me when I did it. And just another sort of mental note to take things as they come and try not to go into it already knowing where it's going, kind of thing. That's just me. So that was all I had.
Jack, you got any humpatry?
I found this really funny clip that's been circulating of a crazy woman berating a driver because he was in the crosswalk. And
I saw that.
Yeah, that made me giggle because she was obviously some lonely cat lady who was mad that somebody was on the crosswalk. I get it. When you're a pedestrian, that's annoying, but I don't sit around and kick everybody's vehicle. I just tell them they're number one with my middle finger. But yeah, it was a slight overreaction to a situation. Otherwise, yeah, I don't really have anything.
Yeah, somebody Keeper Dan there mentions the end of the video. Watch the video, and the end it's just amazing. Oh, crap. I closed my Twitter. I have a couple today, I know. We're going to go back to Jennifer Rubin, who we talked about a little bit earlier. Jennifer Rubin has written she's the conservative columnist for the Washington Post, you guys. She's the conservative at the Washington Post. No, the media isn't fair. It gives Republicans a pass.
Yeah.
Wow. She starts off with the Brett Kavanaugh versus Joe Biden thing, but then she switches it to right-wing groups persistently engage in conduct for which Republicans are not held to account. Yeah. And she says, can you imagine if or can you imagine a Democrat going on TV and not having been asked about Black Lives Matter? Yeah, lots of them weren't. The ones who weren't supporting it.
Yeah.
They weren't made to apologize for it. It wasn't hung around their neck as though they had anything to do with it unless they specifically did something about it or came out in favor of them. And then they were asked, what about their violence? Meanwhile, if you're a Republican, as she just did there, you get lumped with people, whether you've mentioned them at all or not.
Right.
You're just one of them.
Trump has had to comment on literally everything white people have done in America since he's been president. He's had to comment publicly on it. So
this is my favorite part of her article, though. Regarding claims of sexual harassment and assault, consider that Trump is not asked about the rape allegations made against him by E. Jean Carroll.
Oh, boy.
Do you guys remember E. Jean Carroll? Let me refresh you guys out there in YouTube land. E. Jean Carroll's the one who, as part of a book excerpt that ran in Vanity, she included the 10 times men have sexually assaulted her in her life, going all the way back to when she was like 4 years old, up to and including when Donald Trump supposedly raped her in the dressing room of an upscale New York clothery. I forget the name of the place. And immediately she was taken quite seriously by the press. She was everywhere until she went on to Anderson Cooper's show and told him she thought rape was sexy. And then everybody went, oh, this bitch is crazy. And she went away. She's currently suing Trump right now for defamation because he said she wasn't his type. Oops. That's not something you should laugh at. But that's who he wasn't asked about Eugene Carroll. How about we stick with apples to apples, shall we? Kavanaugh and Biden, because those ones are apples to apples here. The way that the media has treated Joe Biden has been a fucking far distance from how they treated Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh was guilty in the eyes of the press, period. Due process was not a thing. They didn't even use the word due process. Now, all of a sudden, even Nancy Pelosi's out there, due process. Like, oh, you guys do remember what that word means, or that phrase. You can't seriously make a claim that the media is biased towards Republicans. That's fucking retarded. My favorite answer to this that I saw in the comments was Squints in Covington.
What's so funny about that is that admission is literally saying that the liberal media that you like and enjoy aren't doing their jobs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like you're literally admitting that whenever liberal media talks about Republicans, they aren't doing their job at all. And you're making that admission. So, I mean, sure, if that's what you want to go with.
Let's see. You know how much time left, so we'll get into this one. I actually feel kind of bad on this one. We'll have to talk about it in a little bit more depth. But Candace Owens she didn't get banned off of Twitter. She didn't get suspended off of Twitter. She's refusing to remove a tweet, so they're not letting her back till she does, and she's appealed it. But she ran all over to the usual suspects, and it was going all over Twitter today. Free Candace. I'll give you my thought on that in a moment. But this guy says, look at this. Look at the daily publicity stunt. Candace Owens is falsely claiming her account is banned and suspended by Twitter, even though it's running perfectly all day and is now. Why is Trump and Candace creating this publicity stunt and sending it to all of the media to share? One, she can't ban herself from Twitter. You can leave Twitter, but you can't ban yourself. But if you only get a minor slap on the hand from Twitter, and trust me, I'm well aware of their jail policies, people can still read your page. It takes a pretty hefty suspension for them to actually take down your page for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's how I'm almost positive I know what's happened here is that she has a tweet she's refusing to remove. Even if you get into the small 7-day box, sometimes you can still, your Twitter's up, people can respond on it. but as the person who owns that, you can only DM people.
Yeah, you can't respond or do any of that stuff.
Yeah, so you can look at it and go, oh, her page is still there. Yeah, that means the entire account wasn't suspended. That doesn't mean she's not suspended.
Right.
However, I just had to correct that because this guy's a fucking moron who doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm not the biggest Candace Owen fans, as you guys may have heard before. But I'm having one of my little crises of faith that I have from time to time, because I don't give a fuck that she's not allowed on Twitter for a moment. I have no, well, I don't want to say I don't give a fuck because I don't want anybody's silence, but I'm having problems finding sympathy because she blocks me.
Oh, so it's personal.
It's not personal.
It's vindictive.
I don't care if you block me, but if you're going to run around there and bitch about freedom of speech, you better not be hiding behind something where, oh, that person can't read what I said. If you're going to be out there with freedom, look, there's people I don't want to see what the fuck they say, so I mute them. And they're still perfectly free. Don't sit there and engage in censorship and bitch about censorship. How about that? So, Candace, I hope they get you back on there because people seem to really love you, and whether they love hating you or love loving you, all the best to you. Go fuck yourself, you hypocritical cunt.
Real quick on the Streamlabs. Thank you, Atheist Icon. This was supposed to help my overturned toilet. I can deal with the smell a little longer. You need it more. Thanks.
Well, there you go.
Gross.
What a shitty donation. No, all donations are appreciated. And remember, if you're listening to this, you have $10 somewhere. Doesn't mean you have to give it to me, but you have $10 somewhere. I've learned that from Twitter or
That's
Twitch.
Right. That's right.
Oh, I guess that moves us on to what time is it? Question time. Ladies and gentlemen, questions, comments, concerns, throw them into chat now. We'll do our best to get to them, but I'm hoping I can pay attention. Careful, Monk, she'll put you in her database. I'm fairly certain it wasn't one of those comments that I made a joke to her about, but I mentioned something to her and she got all pissy about it. I've been surprised the last several days. I didn't realize how many conservatives actually block me. There's quite a few of them for me being such a dyed-in-the-wool Republican who never criticizes anybody on the right. There's quite a few of these little fuckers that block me. They have no sense of humor. Candace loves social credit system. Well, I mean, she walked away from that a while ago. I don't know if she still believes in it. It was a dumbass. What was the thing she set up? They were going to make it so you could report people for harassing you and give you kind of a database to go look up mean people on the internet.
Yeah, I forgot what it was called.
Somebody in chat, I'm sure, will know it. Somebody's probably got it tattooed on their leg going, I hate her for this. Social autopsy, that's what it is. Thank you, Terry. Terry's got the tattoo. But yeah, I never quite liked her. And yeah, it was a whole doxing site. It wasn't just going to give out, the mean things you did. It was going to find your job and your home address and your real name, and yeah, throw it all out there for everyone to see. Knowing your family history can be fun. Like my ancestors that first arrived in America was sold into indentured service against his will, and he was high educated English. Well, it's one thing to know it and be like, oh, that's interesting, but I mean, finding that out, did your life change at all? Did somebody come give you a badge for that?
No,
and
because his ancestor was an indentured servant, that means he has that genetic thing that lets you be oppressed forever.
Oh, so people can come indentured servitude him at any time?
Maybe, but he's got that post-traumatic slave disorder, I think it's called.
Oh, that DNA stuff that's passed down.
Yeah.
No, look, I get the interesting part of it. And look, I'm a proud American. There's things that our country's done that as an American, I'm like, that's really cool. We are the ones who did that. I had nothing to do with it, though. Yeah. If I'm being quite honest about it, like, yeah, I had nothing to do with that. I was born much later. These things, I mean, that's just how time works. Almost all of my life, there's one road near me where a solitary toilet has sat at the edge of the woods.
Mhm.
Sometimes it has a black lid, sometimes it's overturned, sometimes it's missing, but there.
Tradition.
That's a ghost toilet.
It's tradition. It's been there. It'll always be there. Now it's kind of like an unofficial monument.
Maybe it's one of those if you build it, they will come kind of things.
Ew.
Ranting Monkey, there was a lot of due process. The talk of due process during Trump Kavanaugh accusations. It was all demanding due process for the accuser, but never the accused. I don't remember them using the words due process. They were asking to have him railroaded. Give her a chance to speak. She deserves a chance to be heard. The due process talk was all on the other side going, you can't accuse this man like that. He is the one that is where due process. I don't remember them ever saying due process. I'll take your word for it that you saw it a bunch, but I sure as fuck didn't. Oh lords, would you try a floofy orange cream pancake, a side of chicken skin, and a pineapple cup of apple juice? No.
What a weird assortment of shit.
You're just making shit up now. A side of chicken skin. How's it cooked? Is it baked? Because definitely not.
They got like chicken cracklings or whatever that you can buy. It's like a website that makes them whatever. I thought that was interesting.
If you can sell me KFC chicken skin, I'll buy it. Can Lady Monkey put you in the corner? No.
Nobody
Lady
puts
Monkey,
you in the corner.
she will tell you she can't control me. I don't know why y'all think she can do that.
We've met her.
Yeah, is that
yeah, but
kind of has dominion over your well-being?
There's a lot of things that she can do. Forcing me to do something against my will is not one of them. Can you imagine what the timeline where Hillary won the election is like right now? How different would that world be from the timeline we're in? Thoughts?
Yeah, no, I couldn't guess. I mean, I think about some of the foreign policy things specifically that have come up, and like, how would she have treated Syria? What would have happened with North Korea and on that, things like that. But and I wouldn't blame Hillary Clinton if she thought right now that, boy, I dodged that bullet regarding the whole COVID thing, because if we were going to see a second round of Obama treatment of this whole deal, like he did with H1N1, yeah, I don't know.
For me, when it goes to if Hillary won, I immediately go to the court and cases that have come before the court lately. And you're talking about a solid liberal court if she would have won.
Yeah.
Ginsburg would have retired, so you'd have a much younger replacement there, plus the two that we have replaced, and yeah, it would be a solid liberal court for most of your children's lives. So you'd quickly see hate speech becoming a thing, and you'd see a lot of protections eroded. Speaking of censorship, how ridiculous is Ghazi Kodo for getting suspended on Twitter for calling Anne Frank a Becky? And her censorship doesn't compare to the hundreds of years of black oppression. I didn't see what Ghazi had said. I heard that they were suspended. It's Ghazi. I mean, says ridiculous shit for attention. I'm just surprised they got in trouble for it. Whoops, jumped. Where are we at? Damn it. I hate when it does that. Mine were actually Irish wards to English to keep their family in line, brought over to the colonies. Joy. Oh, are you talking about indentured servitude? I don't know if mine were indentured servants or just drunks who fell on the wrong boat. Mine were probably trying to get to like Scotland the back way or something. That's not a question. I have bloodline going all the way back to the Crusades, but it means nothing now. If you'll excuse me, I have to retake the Holy Land. Well, I think the Jews have it right now, so you're okay. What's the best dad joke anyone's ever told? I don't know.
The best? Yeah, I don't know about that one.
When you're talking about humor, you're being very subjective, so you pick.
All right, you tell me.
Had a black friend who hated black jokes, so I told him to lighten up. God damn it.
Oh, I thought my neutron star joke was pretty good. Never mind.
I thought it was good. I thought the Tron joke was funny.
And
The two English majors thought that was hilarious.
and
See what happens when you go to college?
yeah.
Will we have to construct the corner around the simian? The you don't get the option of putting me in a corner ever. It just doesn't work that way. Are
What's
chocolate chips
in the corner?
What's that?
So what if there's vagina to be had in the corner?
Oh,
Now, if I can go to the corner, I just can't be put there.
You should try saying that to Lady Monkey after cheating on her at the top of stairs.
That would be being killed, not being put in the corner.
I mean, I'm sure it'd be in the corner of that box somewhere.
What if you're buried in the corner of the cemetery?
I'm not going to be.
And she's like, checkmate.
Right?
That would be hilariously morbid.
I take the macro view on that. The earth is round. There is no corner. Are chocolate chips just mini Hershey Kisses? Kind of.
well, Hershey Kisses are just big chocolate chips.
Cryptic, thank you. Can orphans eat at a family restaurant?
I mean, lonely people go to family restaurants all the time, so sure. Why not?
They just have to sit alone.
Yeah.
And people throw garbage at them.
You mean
Jack, do you have any? Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I said you mean the food.
Oh.
Jack, do you have any thoughts on that anti-Comicsgate guy who has trademarked Comicsgate?
I think it's a really complicated issue. I really don't know what to think about it. So I'm going to wait and see how it plays out a little bit, because this is really more of a giant slap fight between different creators. And I just at this point don't care anymore. So I'm going to let it play out a little bit before I form a judgment on it.
There you go. Oh, Lords, Gator, power or flavor? The only right answer there is Flavor Aid. Thank you.
I like Powerade, but only the blue one.
If it don't taste like Kool-Aid, it ain't right. Does Trump still have pancakes in his pockets? What?
Some say that legend is true.
I hope they're silver dollar pancakes, so they're tiny and he can throw them at people like ninja stars.
Plus, being silver dollars, almost like having money.
Yeah, pancake money. It's awesome. That's what passes for currency in the world of strawberry shortcake.
That's what passes for money in the world of coronavirus.
True.
Angela says, "I'm sorry. What? I have no idea what that's in relation to." Can your daughter or grandbabies tell you to go to the corner? They can tell me, but they can't force me. I mean,
Oh.
hey, Aaliyah, how you doing, sweetie?
Hey, pretty girl.
I mean,
Uh-oh.
maybe if Little Butt told me to go to the corner, I would comply. Maybe.
You want her bottle?
I know. I need to.
Had to step away for a while. Did you guys discuss Jennifer Rubin claiming the media gives Republicans a pass? Are these people insane? We did discuss it, and are they insane? No, they're liars. She's not insane. She's a liar. She's an absolute liar. The very specific examples she chooses. One, she doesn't even make her case with the examples she chooses. But Jennifer goes out of her way to hate on the Republican Party right now, and I don't understand why. She's their conservative, but she's another conservative that since Donald Trump came along, she's like the most contrarian conservative ever, like to the point of supporting Biden. You're not conservative at that point. I'm sorry. You may still be a dues paying Republican, but you're not a conservative. Satsu, can you play the Resident 2 remake with keyboard and mouse, or do you need a controller? Just bought it and RE7. He's not here, but I'm guessing he plays with a controller, so I'm sure you can. Oh, and RE, I know you can. I played it with a controller. Bullshit, little button pumpkin could put you in the corner. Not if I didn't want to go. Believe it or not, I do tell the girls no from time to time. Fuck, this just jumped again. YouTube, fix your shit. Actually, we don't have very much engagement tonight as part of it because every single line now makes it jump. If you had to pick a genre, okay, a genre of animated film or animated adult films from Japan out of Tentacle and Futanari. Which would it be and why?
Remind me what Futanari is.
Hermaphrodites or people, chicks with both.
Oh,
Neither.
Okay, I never ever thought that I would come back to this stream and hear talks about Fuda. Never in a million years.
That's where we're at, I guess.
All right. I won't be participating.
If I see you said had to pick, and neither one of them is at all interesting to me. So flip a coin and go with the answer. Cryptic, thank you. Why is there an Iron Man but not an Iron Woman? Because the first one is a superhero, whereas the second one is a command. Wow. Thank you, Cryptic. You can come out of the corner for that one. Does Jeb still have turtles?
Yeb. Please clap.
Sure. Ranting Monkey YouTube refuses to let you see my question about WHO guidelines for 0 to 4-year-olds. Sorry, I haven't seen it. I'm imagining it's kicking it out. Now that I know that's what it is, I need to know what the question is. I don't know what the WHO guidelines are for 4-year-olds. Did you see Lauren Chen's video on WHO guidelines? No, I didn't. That was her very next post. Did you guys see Roaming Millennial's latest video on?
I saw her. I didn't hear a word she said. I had it on mute.
Fair enough. Jack's got a little Asian Canadian fever.
Mm-hmm.
Canadian?
Asian.
Canadian? I don't know.
An Asian. Oh, Lords, did anyone really think that the DNC wouldn't change the sexual assault narrative when the shoe was on the other foot? Oh, no. Of course not. But here's the thing, and I have mentioned this, and you guys do need to be very careful with this. Listen to me, folks. They haven't exactly changed the narrative. If you look at the people who were most burned by #MeToo, it was a lot of liberals. Hollywood, not really Republican town. And that's where it went mostly after. And it still did burn people like Franken. And I think if this specific charge had come out at the beginning of the campaign, Joe may have been forced out. But when it came out, he's their candidate. He's all that's left. Everybody else has dropped out. It would cause all kinds of turmoil to get somebody else. And frankly, I don't think they really want to get somebody else. But so this is more TDS than it is Biden. It really is. To the point where you see people, look, even if he did rape somebody, so did Trump. So we gotta get rid of Trump.
Well, also, there's the narrative of him becoming both accountable and presidential. So they're just like, yeah, well, I mean, as long as he's super sorry.
Yeah.
I think this is actually partly a play to ensure that he picks a female candidate for VP.
Like
Hillary or Michael.
I just think that, yes, we've seen. I mean, we saw that with the blackface thing with Northam. That man is not only is he still governor. I mean, he's being touted as doing great things.
Yep.
This is a man who wore shoe polish on his face.
He may have worn a hood.
Or a hood. One of the two.
No, it is still a possibility, but there's actually pictures of him from that same time wearing the same pants he was wearing in that picture.
Jesus.
Yeah,
What an idiot.
so pretty much it's him. Mash, thank you. The guidelines are for teaching them topics like sex ed, body positivity, how to pleasure themselves, etc., etc. For 4-year-olds.
Oh.
Sure.
Gross.
Sure. Susan, does this mean Amos Yee's going to be back?
Oh, God.
He'll be able to talk about those WHO standards.
Ugh.
Can you imagine seeing one of his videos trending?
Oh, I don't want to. Thanks.
Let's see. Have you seen steak ramen that the noodles are made from steak and the meat chunks are replaced with noodle cuboids?
What?
No?
Yeah, the answer is what?
Dangerous. Regardless of whether Joe got the questions ahead of time, how do you think his MSNBC interview went? I don't think it matters. I think that it happened was enough.
They will point to it as we've addressed that issue, and most of the media will, like I said last night, Mika Brzezinski effectively fell on her sword by doing that interview for the rest of the media, unless or until something new and or more egregious comes out that they can't deny and they can't avoid. And I mean, we'll just have to wait and see if something like that happens, but that's what it's going to take for it to come up again, I think. I could be wrong, but that seems to me what the purpose of that interview was.
He didn't do anything outrageous. As long as he didn't completely blow that interview, and even then, if he'd blown it quite a ways, I mean, the media stepped in. Mika, she tweeted out yesterday about how much respect she still has for this man.
Right.
It was a dog and pony show. That's why I have no proof of it, guys, but I'm telling you, he got those questions in advance. They knew exactly what he was going to be asked. And even in the fucking interview where everybody's like, she kept badgering him with the same question. She fucking told him she was going to do it.
Yep.
She says, I'm going to ask you the same question different ways. Cryptic, thank you. Was Hitler's favorite Pokemon Charizard? No, it was Charazu.
I thought it was.
It jumped again. God damn it. I'm sorry. What were you saying, Jack?
Nothing. It's better you don't have me repeat that. That was
okay. Defund the WHO. We've already done that, at least largely, because apparently Europe was telling Canada they have to pay more because we're not. True story. If someone did a parody video of Ariel Scarcella leaving the left and they used garbage cliche arguments, that's not a question. That's a statement that starts with if and ends in question marks. So to add to 2020 woes, murder hornets are here and possibly starting to colonize. How is it people are just, we read this like a month or two ago. Why is it just now blowing up on social media? All right. Are we starting to see the actual apocalypse? Nah. Weird shit just happens sometimes. You'd be surprised how much weird shit happens all the time.
Sound like the apocalypse in my background right there.
If the seas start turning blood red, I'm gonna go ahead and say apocalypse.
Sinky female. I'm guessing stinky female feet or female morning breath. What kind of women are you hanging out with?
I'm just baffled by the questions we get. So
get him some baby powder and a toothbrush. She'll be fine.
You know where my brain went as soon as that question was asked?
Where's that?
To goddamn, what's the website that fucking what's his face used to do the video Tumblrisms?
Yes.
What's the art website? I keep forgetting the name.
Oh, DeviantArt.
DeviantArt. Yeah, my brain went straight to DeviantArt as soon as that question was asked.
Do you think Fidel is looking up at his son in Canada and thinking, that's my boy, concerning the assault ban? Probably.
That's my boy.
If you were a pirate captain and your family was your crew, do you think they would mutiny you? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
No, mine wouldn't.
Mine would, totally.
I'm one of the, like, my mom always tells me how I'm like one of the most functional people in the family, and she's just like, man, I don't know what happened to the rest of these people.
We wouldn't even make it out of the port before there was a mutiny.
Monk and Satsu, have y'all ever played Wasteland, like old school Fallout and XCOM?
No.
No.
I've got Wasteland 2. Wasteland 3 either just came out or is about to come out. Like old school, like Wasteland. They just did a remastered version, or it's coming out soon. And it still looks, I mean, it's definitely better than the Pixel Party that was the original, but it's old school. And it's what inspired Fallout, and a lot of the people who worked on that game made Fallout or went on to. And I've never played XCOM, though.
Hey, Monkey, check your stream modes.
Oh. Sorry, guys. Sometimes that does not go off. Harvey Weinstein accusers say they didn't realize they had been raped until after they didn't get the movie part. Thank you, Shio. Well, you know, these things happen. I put out, now you put up. Any opinions on Banana Laffy Taffy? I like it.
I like them.
Banana's not my favorite flavor. I'll just put it that way.
I'm indifferent.
Let's not forget, Northam also said, I dressed up as Michael Jackson one time and put on blackface. Wasn't that Trudeau?
Yeah, that was Trudeau who made that admission after his little black thing happened. Yeah, he had to admit that in case there was a photo out there of him.
Yeah, he actually said there's a bunch of times that he's dressed up as a Negro. Michael, thoughts on Twitter maps? I hope bad things happen to him. Really bad things. Nothing I can say on the air, though. In more possible bad news, multiple gunshots fired from North Korea hit South Korean guard post inside DMZ. South Korea fired back. No casualties reported.
Wow, not good.
It happens from time to time.
I know, but still, it's like it's waiting for that one spark, you know, and then everything goes to shit.
Could that be related to a breakdown in leadership because somebody in the higher echelons may have died?
No, they said he was in public, Jack.
Yeah, they showed pictures.
Oh, totally believable. It's not like I called that last week.
Did Michigan reopen yet? No, not exactly. I did see a PolitiFact review of the claim that she wasn't letting people buy certain products. They said that's not true. Technically, they're right. Technically, she did not ban people from buying any certain product. You just couldn't shop in the garden section. So if somebody accidentally left a bag of seeds sitting over by the milk, you could purchase those.
Real quick, thank you, Mr. Scott. Breaking news, California prisons release thousands of felons to make room for skaters, surfers, and people who go outside.
Which, by the way, would be skaters and surfers. Any opinions? Oh, I already read that one. They got, wait, did this? Oh, no, the same people asked the same questions, pretty much in the same. Good for you guys. What is the soundtrack of your life like? Oh, it's hysterical. You hear the U.S. women's soccer team lawsuit got dismissed. Only part of it, Pat. Only part of it. The main part, the pay part of it.
Yeah.
They're still allowed to sue over the benefits package. Is that what
accommodations or whatever?
Yeah,
accommodations.
Travel accommodations and some medical considerations and things.
Yeah. The judge ordered correctly in that. And if anybody listen to us, Mr. Neil Mohan, pay attention, you dumb fuck. We told people this when this first came out. We explained the whole pay structure and why women were paid less. Nobody wanted to fucking listen to us out of context YouTubers in our fucking basements. But apparently the courts agree. What's the smallest item you could personally kill somebody with? Wit.
Oh,
How is Squeetus and what did she do today?
She's good, and she did baby stuff.
Marvel's Endgame or Ready Player One?
Endgame.
Yeah,
I've only seen Endgame, so. Jack?
Endgame.
Yeah, probably Endgame.
We're going to wrap up here, guys. Don't forget to check out. Jack, you want to throw your link into chat? I don't have it in down below on this set. Go follow Jack on Twitter. He goes by the Jack Cochran over there. This is Jack the motherfucking Cochran, for those of you who don't know. That's him, the one and only. Our first senior correspondent.
Yay.
Something to be proud of. Mom can put that on the fridge for you.
She probably would. And then she'd laugh at it every day.
Scribbles, you want to remind people where they're going to find you tomorrow?
Yes, so unless something changes, tomorrow at Sunday, 8 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, I'll be on Tailed Features channel for my 6th Scottish Gaelic lesson. You can listen to me destroy the Gaelic language while Tailed tries to teach me it. And then at 11:30 Pacific Time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I'll be doing a TEDx regarding Karen telling us how to be men. So there you go.
Jack, you plan on being anywhere?
Not unless you have a monkey in the morning.
I may. We'll see. I'm feeling better, so we might after our game stream. So look for us around 2:30, 3 o'clock-ish, guys. Speaking of which, our game stream will be over on 2 Cents Plus here in just a few minutes, playing some more Fallout 76. Been having a lot of fun with that one, so check it out. I'd like to thank Jack for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Scribbles and Satsu, a pleasure as always.
You.
Scribbles, thank you so much for doing the news and stuff for the MSS News, because fuck, man, that first hour was rough.
That's fine.
I appreciate it. I love these two guys, and this is why they're good people. So make sure you're following everybody on the Twitter, and everyone, your lives make us sad. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
My dick is